So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our viewers from around the globe, and welcome to another series of intimate conversations with your host, Mandy Horton. And if you feel like you'd like to push the subscribe button on the YouTube channel, that would be amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us, and welcome to this series. With our guests today, we've got Kiri, Peeni, and Reghan Anderson. So welcome you two.
Kia ora.
Taonga.
Woo! I've been so excited to have you here and have this chat because I love you two so much, and I absolutely love what you're doing out there in the world today and your journey and how you got there. So we're going to go into a bit of a chat around all that. But first of all, I will read your bio and introduce you to those who don't know you. So, a shared commitment to wairua and ancestral knowledge underpins the mahi my husband Regs and I do through Tohu Māori. Regs works as a moko artist and carver, guided by the stories, patterns, and whakapapa each client carries. My own path as a matakite weaves naturally alongside this, supporting clients through intuitive insight, grounding, and connection. Together, we've created a collaborative process where creativity and spirituality sit side by side, whether it's tā moko, taonga, or even selecting the right stone for a ring. We're always tuning into vibration, energy, and the unique tohu that present themselves for each individual. Our shared purpose is to help people feel seen, aligned, and supported through both the physical and spiritual aspects of our mahi. Oh my goodness. Well, I can honestly say firsthand that I've experienced their mahi firsthand, and I wear Reghan's tamoko work and on my back, on my arms. And the beautiful energy that went into creating those, along with Kiri, who tunes into ancestral whakapapa, etc., etc. But both of you have studied very deeply into Māori culture and design and patterning and all the stuff that goes into this. So please explain a lot about what you do and how you got involved in what you're doing.
Okay, shall I go first?
Yeah, you can start
Okay,
off.
so it kind of my journey in mahi toys, so as a Māori artist, kind of started probably, I would say 25 years ago. So I went to North Tech and learned to weave, and from there I started to exhibit my works, became a toy Ngāpuhi artist, and then went off to university and got a Bachelor of Māori Studies. And at the same time, Reghan was studying. So that's kind of where that kind of marriage came together. So he was doing an art degree. And in that kind of space, we kind of got together at that space and time in a relationship, obviously, but also that's where our mahi together kind of started.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so Kiri went to art school first. Sorry, I didn't know whether you were finished or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
So she's quite a bit older than me. So I was, while she was at school, I was still, well, you were studying art, I was still at Kura.
Yeah.
But then I went to North Tech and I studied art as well. You were already a exhibiting Tohu Ngāpuhi artist at that point.
I was indeed, yeah.
And when I studied art, I studied just applied art, so not Māori art specifically, but just applied arts, all sorts of stuff, photography, clay, uku, no carving, but drawing, printing, painting, pretty much every other medium except for any of the real Māori mediums. But while I was there for 3 years, all I did was make Māori art, which was nothing that they were teaching. And at the end of it, I ended up exhibiting all my just mainly carvings. But during that time, I was also exploring moko, and Kiri was studying. You were doing like a Māori studies.
Yes, I did a Bachelor of Māori Studies at Massey University.
And so she was studying those those patterns in particular, one of the papers or many of the papers, they were focused around all the different
around the patterns inside of the whare whakairo. So yeah, like I kind of did some intense study on that, and then kind of I branched off in my last year at university and really decided I liked anthropology. So that was looking at social anthropology, which is cultures within cultures. So the culture of Māori that wear moko, or the culture of Māori that do kapahaka or can kōrero Māori, you know what I mean? So it's a cultures within an actual culture. So I really kind of branched off and did an extra year at Massey kind of looking into all of that as well.
It was an interesting degree, and I was kind of alongside him.
He was my study buddy the whole time. So we were kind of doing it together in a weird way.
Reading a lot of the literature, taking notes, and then she was compiling them into her essays and whatever else she was writing. So through that, we learned a lot of stuff, not just about the whare whakairo, but all about moko lifestyle as well through your anthropology. The way, and with it's like Kiri was talking about, subcultures, it's something it's not a new term or not an old term either. It's something that still happens today. There are cultures within cultures within cultures. So you have, like, you know, the broad generalized literal word culture. You have different, I don't know, ethnicities that have their own cultures, but within those cultures they have cultures of their own. Again, like Kiri was saying, we have Māori in general, in a more general sense. You have Māori as an ethnicity, and then you have Māori that wear moko. They're in their own little kind of bubble, their own little subculture. Then you have Māori that are fluent in te reo and that really like, you know, kōrero and like whai kōrero and all of that sort of stuff. Then you have Māori that really in the world of kapahaka or maurako, and they're all little kind of subcultures, and you can kind of be part of multiple different kind of subcultures.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that actually comes right the way down from, like, right down to little family units as well. Our family, our siblings and our parents, and the little group that we're raised in, that's a little culture in itself, like a little kind of bubble.
Yes.
So that was really interesting to kind of, well, it's not something we'd ever really considered, the fact that we are part of a cultures within cultures within cultures. And moko kind of started.
Yeah, so I guess that's where we were wanting to head with this, aren't we? So when Regs and I got together, I had been a practicing matakite, so psychic, you know, seer, whatever you'd like to call it, for 20 odd years at that stage. Regs was just a young man, and I had a clientele that was coming, and I was seeing people fairly regularly at that point, you know, like a number of people per week. Anyways, as they were filtering through, you know, I'd be sitting there and I'd be seeing all of these patterns, and they would be manifested so very, very clearly to me. And I'd be like, you know, at that stage, Reghan was just dabbling with tattoo. You know, he had some machines and he was just dabbling really just on himself and our own whānau. It was just like, well, you know, I feel like my partner could help you. And so we kind of opened it up that way. It wasn't like he was a professional tattooist at this stage. And we're talking 12 odd years ago now. So, you know, and he was just dabbling, and we were very honest about that. And he started to do moko. So whatever patterns were manifested through to me is what he would lay down on the person. So it was really quite spiritually tuned, you know what I mean? I would have these people come in, I'd be given these like these very, very clear visions of what they should be having. I would, you know, clearly voice that to him. I'd be very clear with them as well, and then it was up to them about whether they wanted to receive or not. And that's really how our whole moko business started. It was like a collaboration of his skill and my skill with spirit, and joining that together, and people actually receiving moko that way. So for the first 3 years, probably during our degrees, that's the way we practiced. And then obviously it grew into a business, and you know, we've had intense studies. So we've both done 8 years at university each. And Reghan kind of missed out that prior to ever going to do his art degree, he had studied under a master carver for some time. So there's also that history that he had that he, you know, missed out, which is a really important part of understanding patterns and that as well. So yeah, that's kind of how it all began.
And the moko, like Kiri said, at that time I was really more, my focus was really more on the application and actually applying ink into the skin correctly and getting it to
Yeah.
actually stay. And she was a lot more, well, me myself, I was just learning patterns, and all I had was the knowledge I had from my carving that I've been doing at that point. And as we kind of learned more patterns, and my skill at applying the ink actually started to get better and better, I felt more and more confident with the mahi that I was doing. But at the start, I really leaned on Kiri. That was kind of, I wasn't 100% sure. I hadn't ever trained in the art of moko. I had no one to teach me kind of the tikanga and all that sort of stuff around it. So Kiri really was like a guide source for me at that point, because of what we've always felt, both of us, that it's a lot more than just ink. It's a lot more than just an art form. It goes a lot deeper than the physical.
Yeah, and I would say for me, like I was raised with very strict tikanga. So I had a father that was my stepfather who raised me was very, very strict and really awesome in teaching us since we were young, very young, about tikanga and correct practices, etc. But so for me, tikanga was just a natural part of who I was and the things that I did. But in regard to the mahi that Reghan and I do together, I've always trusted spirit implicitly, like absolutely implicitly. If they tell me something's going to happen, I trust that more than I trust myself. I trust that more than I trust my husband, So for me, it was just really, really a natural feeling of absolute and utter trust of what was being manifested through. And I think because my clientele that were coming to me were people that had said me multiple times, they had that absolute trust in me as well. So I guess that was a good thing. And that's kind of how Tohu Māori that was the inception of Tohu Māori. So, and Tohu, just so you understand, is literally a Māori word for sign. It's a sign. A sign. It could be a sign. It can be a signature. But it's
certificate.
Yeah,
but lots of things.
It's lots of things, but it means a sign. So that's what it is. Tohu Māori. So a sign of being Māori. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I know for myself personally, I'd seen my first arm when I first had that done. I'd seen it patterned for about 2, 3 years, and I kept saying I'd never do it. I'm not, that won't ever happen,
Yeah.
And the more tupuna started moving more through into my world, and I connected more into my whakapapa, there was just the moment at Matariki, actually, at the quarry. And that was with an artist from up north, and there were two tamoko artists there, and that was my first arm done. And then it was from there I was just hooked. It was like, and I kept, because Tupuna was saying there's more, and it would just keep moving me through, and it was like, oh my God. And then when I first went and saw you two about my arm and also my feet and my back. Well, there were many times, but each time there was just such a beautiful reverence that was sitting in the room and with you as a couple working together in a beautiful unit and unified way, but also the way that you could feel the enclosure and the enveloping of tupuna with us and this beautiful honoring, and I know when I had my feet done, which was a wee bit sort of more sacred, I suppose, in some way, um, and Ems came in and she was, playing guitar and singing waiata, and oh my God, it was just so beautiful. And what I really felt with both of you was that when you really come into that space, you're totally in respect of everything that needs to be done in the right way. And it's a beautiful feeling. And I felt completely like there was complete trust in what you would bring forward to be placed on me wherever it might go. And that was going to be the right thing. And it always was. It always has never felt like it was wrong. Like I've never had one and go, oh God, that never felt right. They all felt so sacred to me, and they're definitely a big part of my story of who I am.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is a beautiful thing. And one of the most beautiful things, Reghan, is watching you really come into you.
Yeah.
Like I was there when you were in that first stage, a lot of it, and and how you've grown in that. And what I always loved about you was there was never any ego. You were never
Uh,
out there blowing your trumpet about what you do, who you are, because you were almost feeling like you were an imposter in it,
yeah,
in
yeah. I
some
was
way.
just kind of like a conduit, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I was just, yep, exactly.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful thing. And I feel that's where your work, your ink that comes on, or your carvings, your beautiful jewelry and carvings that you do are just so stunning. They're
Thank you.
so stunning. And they hold such a beautiful energy with them,
Yeah,
that just empowers the person that wears them. They're just gorgeous. I love every piece I have. I really do. I'm just so
thank you.
thankful for you.
Yeah, no, it's been an amazing journey, and you're right. I have gone through like quite a like a process, and I'm a big believer in the idea that, especially when we do moko, like we don't even take photos. We don't put them online. We don't advertise. And I've always held the belief since I started doing moko, especially with moko in particular, that it's not even, even though I applied the ink, the kōrero and the story that's going into it isn't mine. So I don't never felt like I have any right to put it up like it's my mahi, because it's actually
Yeah,
that person's kōrero, it's that person's story, and
yeah,
it's for them to share and wear and do what they want to do with. And it's always felt better that way too. There's no stress, there's no there's no tight feeling of hanging on to the mahi. And same with my mahi whakairo as well. Same thing.
yeah,
It's so much easier to let it go,
yeah.
and I understand how artists find it hard, because you put a lot of effort and a lot of your energy into actually creating this thing, and you're quite invested in it.
Yeah,
Um, and then so to just let it go is like, what? But I've done all this mahi, but it's quite I don't know, it's liberating to actually put heaps of effort into something and then just let
let
it
it
go
go.
for free. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that I'd been doing it for this whole time while practicing.
Yes.
And I remember watching, I think it was a video of these monks somewhere, and they spend days, even years, pouring sand into mandalas or whatever. And then it takes them ages, ages, ages. And then afterwards, they just open the door and let the wind blow it all away. It's
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, yeah. And
Insane, eh? I know. I've watched that too, and I've thought,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
my
And
gosh.
it's
But
like,
yeah,
what, you just
what
spent
a
your whole,
moment.
yeah, exactly, yeah. But
Mm,
it truly is like the mahi that we do and the way we work, it almost kind of encapsulates the life itself. How, you know what I mean? We put all our effort and
yeah.
energy into this life that we live, and at the end of the day, all the material things kind of just will drift away at some point, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I fully agree with
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we
Totally,
focus
eh?
more on what is actually what's deeper than the physical stuff, because the physical, comes and goes. But
So, like, for example, if we're having a client come in, we're in constant communication, Regan and I, for like the days leading up to that. What's coming through from me, our wairua, we're talking backwards and forwards. And then the night before is usually quite a big night for us. And we're in constant communication about, what are you seeing, Kiri? What are you feeling? What are you feeling for this person? And then Regan starts drawing. So everything's applied on the actual day, but there's always that like big kind of build up for us prior to somebody coming. It's become a streamlined process over the years, like I said, we're 12 years deep now, so like it's quite streamlined. But yeah, wouldn't you say like there's always we're in constant commune with one another?
yeah,
Yeah.
as soon as someone's made a booking, I'm pretty much talking to Kitty straight away. What do you see? What do
Yeah.
you feel? What do you think? Where would
Absolutely.
we go? What do you, and we'll talk to the person and say
Yeah.
if do they have any ideas on placement or position or
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. But then yeah, my first port of call is Kitty when it comes to patterns, and like it's so, and because like I was saying, it's so much more than just making something that looks aesthetically pleasing,
Yeah.
and that's a big part of it, I feel too, because you
Oh,
want it to
absolutely.
look good,
Absolutely.
of course, but then at the same time, it's got to touch something deeper than the physical,
Absolutely.
and so that's why Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Like for me, like my role, I see my role very differently now to how it was back in the beginning. So I feel like my husband, he's the main event now. He could absolutely do this without me. Absolutely, hands down. He doesn't think he can, but he absolutely,
I
I feel
love that,
he's so
Regan.
in tune with wairua now.
Yeah,
Absolutely. He
yeah,
feels when
for sure.
something's not right. He
Yeah,
feels it in the person. He feels it in their skin. Or even when we have people that come here and somebody might say, oh, I'd like to get a piece, when they leave, we'll say, I wouldn't feel comfortable working on that person. So he's absolutely in tune with wairua, his own self. He
yeah,
does not need me. And I see him as the main event now. So my
yeah.
role, I feel, is more of a, he's shaking his head still,
I
but
know.
I feel my role is I act in protection of my husband now. So I have a lot of skills in that area that I have developed over these years. You know, I'm half a century old now, and I feel very happy about that and developing all these skills that I have over these years. And I stand in protection of him. So protection,
And the client
yeah,
and the
yeah,
space.
in our space. Hugely.
Mm,
So, firstly, I'm protecting him, you know, anybody else that's in that space, making sure our space is very clear, making sure our boundaries are very clear and protected. So, you know, a lot of work for me goes into that prior to somebody's arrival, ensuring that the space is a safe haven for them to come in and they can just release and they can simply just be and let us take care of what needs to be taken care of. So for us, it's not the moko side of things isn't really like a business so much. It's more of a way to a calling.
yes.
So hence we don't offer it publicly. Like you have to know somebody that has had work done by us to get in. We're not online saying, hey, listen, this is what we do.
Yeah.
The other side of what we do in Tohu Māori is obviously carving, and that's obviously the business aspect of what we do. Of course, there is payment that's obviously needed for moko because, you know, our time is very, very precious. And what we do, you know, honoring the gifts that we have from tupuna, as well. You know, like obviously there's a koha that's attached to that. But
Yeah.
outside of that, I really feel like Reghan could manage this him own self. Absolutely 100%. He's exceptionally skilled and he's absolutely in tune with wairua. And I think he just has to recognize how in tune he is because I see it very, very clearly.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
very clearly. So
Yeah.
yeah. And I think it'll be a really awesome day. Like, you know, it's really funny. And we also talk about this often, which is quite a morbid topic for people, but for us it's not. We talk about passing over and
Yeah.
when we pass over, and I have no fear that when I go, he won't be able to manage everything here.
Yeah.
Because he absolutely will, because he has everything in place already.
Yeah,
I think this
absolutely.
is part of our the marrying together one of our skills, us together as a unit, and also with being married, is that we have shared skills and passed them backwards and forwards. So skills that he has, he's given to me, and vice versa. And I
Yeah.
think that's the beauty about our union is that
Yeah.
we have, you know, we've shared those skills. It's been
Yes.
a sharing of skill.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And you see the blend. And you do. I've seen that with you too. You've both been um, working with each other's gifts and awakening those gifts within self as well. It's really beautiful. And that's so true about Regan and being able to do it now without you because that's what I mean about his growth and his blossoming. It's like he's really come into his own.
I think
Um,
especially this year, like
yeah,
I've seen a
partner,
massive change.
yeah,
So like
yeah, for sure.
spiritually,
Yeah,
he's like a different person. I feel like I'm married
absolutely.
to a new fella. It's like a
Yeah,
whole new situation.
yeah,
But
exactly.
it's
I know.
great
It's
because
cute.
you know
It's
you
really good.
see this light that he carries. He always had it, but it somehow seemed dim to me. And now it
Mm,
seems bright.
yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah, I see this light that he carries with him now,
Yeah,
and it's really, really bright. And I see a very bright future. And I feel that anybody that is lucky enough to have mahi done by him now gets a very different experience.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just think he's a marvelous person, really
Thank
gifted and
you.
talented and gorgeous hearted. That's the thing. I think, you know, you could do this type of mahi, but not have the wairua in it, you know, which I've sort of come across a couple that I felt, you know,
Yeah.
That's a lot of
nah,
our own experiences have kind of guided us to how we work today. Our
Absolutely.
experiences with kaita in the past and put people that have done moko on us. There's often a lot of ownership put on the mahi and then the ownership kind of placed on you as well. You know, once they put the mahi on you, they kind of like
and ownership.
That's yours.
Yeah, it's
That's
very,
theirs.
very
Yeah,
strange,
yeah.
very strange.
Yeah, it's odd. And my introduction to the world of, and kitties as well, like when we first got together just after I'd been, well, actually we met, and then I was introduced into the subculture of tamoko, similar to how you describe, when you come and you got your first piece at the quarry by, it was a few wata, and you're hooked from there on in, and essentially you've opened the door to that world, you've stepped into that world.
Yeah.
With moko, though, it's quite a permanent move. You can't really step back out, because recognizably you're in that part of in that subculture now, and so from there on, you are essentially hooked in a way. But yeah, our experiences with kaita in the past, and you just feel it, that sort of ownership that's placed on the mahi, especially nowadays when kaita are really avid, and once they've finished a mahi, on taking photos or videoing the whole process and then putting it up on the story, and you kind of become a part of their portfolio.
Yeah, their brand, so to speak. And like that was massive for Reghan and I. So we wanted that once we had imparted whatever was given a wairua to me, and then he had laid that down on their skin, that was theirs. That's their story. So we didn't need photographs. So there's been hundreds of people that have come through our doors, and we don't have half of the photographs of the mahi that's been done. If people say you can take photos, sometimes if it's a really beautiful piece, I'll ask to take photos, but that's more for our benefit, not for, the benefit of Instagram or the benefit of anybody else.
It's good for us to see. We'll take photos afterwards, but we don't post them or anything, but it's good if they come back, we can see their mahi and see how the healing's gone, because often moko looks great when you lay it down, and then they come back and it's like, oh, hang on a minute, that's a bit lighter, or something's fallen out here or there. And so having those references can let us know, just from an aesthetic standpoint. But we never cling to them.
No, that's yours. That's yours, and you don't belong to us. That you own that piece. And
that's great for us too. It's a lot less, a
lot less stress. Lot less stress. Don't worry about it.
Who wants to carry a big bag behind dragging that around? When it's not actually yours, eh?
Yeah.
And we're talking about the passing over sort of thing, and in Japan, they have their tattooed men, like they're warriors, aren't they? I think it's what's the name? I can't think of the name. Anyway, sorry?
They're like, it was the Yakuza wear the full body suits, but they used to be samurai, traditionally.
Yes, samurai, that's it. And they're fully tattooed.
Fully tattooed,
Beautiful tattooing. Well, they skin them.
Oh, yeah.
Skin them out when they pass over and frame it up and have them.
And the hides.
Because it's art.
It's amazing.
It's art. Yeah, incredible. That's sort of not where I'd like to go, but
no, exactly. That again kind of leads into that idea of really clinging to the physical,
For sure. It's like let it go.
Let it go. That's it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the moko journey, eh?
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
And the carving and all your taonga, oh my gosh, it's like you just because this is what happens, when we come truly into wairua in this physical realm, we work through creation. That's us. We're creative beings, so you're in your complete creative flow all the time, and that's where I see you just growing, because more of your true aspects are coming through, and you're bringing them in and showing us where they're landing. It's so cool. And so you make a lot of beautiful jewelry. I have got some here. I should have brought them on to show. But Kiri, you'd be wearing one, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I've got a heitiki on currently.
So
and earrings that Reghan has made me as well. That's been a journey as well. So I think this is more Reghan, this is more his area of expertise. So he has his art degree, and like he said, he never learned to actually carve in that art degree. It was an applied arts degree where he did all the traditional forms of art: painting, graphics, drawing, sculpture, all of those things, photography. But he always kept moving out of that and was carving. So his end of year exhibition was all carving and print, which was really interesting. They also had a Māori arts degree at the same tech that he was at, but he didn't do that degree. He did just a standard arts degree, which was really quite challenging to be a Māori at an institute where there was a whole other degree running right next door to you that was a Māori art degree, and he was just doing the standard arts degree. It created quite a lot of tension amongst the other students.
All the other Māori are constantly looking over like, what was that fella doing over there? And at the time, I got my moko kanohi done while I was doing that art course. So a lot of people were like, why you're in the wrong class, man? Why'd you end up over here? And often too, like everything I learned at all the different applied arts that I learned, the sculpture, the painting, the drawing, all the photography, all of that sort of stuff. Every single time we'd have a project, I'd do something that wasn't even what we were taught, or twist it in a way so that it became quite Māori. And it was obvious to my teachers that that's really where I sat. And I was in a contemporary Pākehā sort of environment. I was proudly exhibiting just constantly Māori art. And because I felt that's just I didn't feel comfortable making something just because it looked good. It's got to have a deeper another level to it. And so that was kind of an interesting sort of juxtaposition being there.
But interesting too, though, Reghan, because you may not have got the wide range that you
exactly.
And you're now putting all of this together.
It
was perfect, even though it mightn't have felt. Did you feel at times though with people saying, "Oh, you're in the wrong class, mate"? Did you feel like you should sort of ping into the other one?
No, I never did actually.
That's really cool.
I felt I learned a lot. It gave me a really good view of the art world in general. Not just in like a broader sense too. Like artists from all over the world would have to study historical artists, modern artists, the carvers that were carving those big marble statues and all that sort of stuff. We actually studied all of those different artists. We studied New Zealand Māori artists as well in some of the papers. And it was really a real broad look at a lot, like a wider, it's like I got a wider lens.
Exactly.
And so I wasn't so zoned in on the subculture of Māori art. I kind of could see then where Māori art sat within the wider contemporary art world. And because of that, I was able to, I think, branch out or extend further beyond where the current Māori art world sort of sat. Go beyond those lines of traditional and contemporary and kind of really starts evolving just my art practice in general. But I hope essentially down the line people will pick it up, and eventually in generations to come I'll have aided in evolving Māori art further and growing it into something different in the future.
I just so think you will. And I just like where if we sort of I'm just looking at time and seeing what we've got left to discuss, but where do you feel Māori are heading? I know this is going to be quite an out the gate sort of, from where you're up to, but where do you guys feel that Māori are heading? And is there, what do you feel that there might be that you could feel that they would maybe need to bring back or need to do, or anything that you can see? What's your take on all of this? Because we're still sitting in a state of real separation, even tribally. Amongst Māori, there's not a unification coming in. It's not unifying in any way. Everyone's so up in the blinking hating on everything. It's a shame. But
again, that probably comes back to the kōrero we were talking about at the start: subcultures, cultures within cultures within cultures. And I think truly, in a basic sense, understanding is what's needed. But it's always,
I would agree with that.
You're going to struggle to connect with something that you don't understand.
Yeah.
And Māori, iwi and hapu, even, you know, from place to place, the mita is different, the reo is different, the tikanga is different, the kawa is different. And so when you go to a place like that, it's always going to feel different. And when you don't have understanding of why they're doing it like this, why they're doing it like that, it can cause a separation.
Absolutely,
and like
I'd agree.
a distance, and you don't want to connect, and you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think education around that sort of stuff, Māori actually, or even just Māori opening their minds in general and saying, hey, you know what? Some people do it like this, some people do it like this.
Yep,
Who
I think
cares?
I agree
Who
with that. I
cares?
agree with
Yeah.
that. There's a lot of conflict. The Māori arts world is very small, and I believe that there's a lot of conflict within that, you know, people thinking their way's better, etc., etc. But I think we are quite reclusive for that reason. We don't put ourselves out there hugely for that reason, because we just like to stay in the energy of wairua. You know what I mean? And this beautiful flow that we're in. And even when it comes to the art that Reghan's doing, whether it be carving, there's always that kind of wairua kind of attached to what he's doing, because he's like gathering the unewa himself. Or even when it comes down to a purchase. So say we have a heitiki, for example, and I might have 20 people message through to purchase that piece. I'm going to tune into wairua, and I'm going to ensure that it gets to the right person.
Yes.
Always been like that for us, and it will never be about oh heck, you know, well, I messaged you first. You know, when it's just the normal jewelry, it's first in, first served. But when it's these beautiful handcrafted pieces that Reghan's put hours and hours into, there's always an aspect of wairua that's related to it, even right down to, and this will seem crazy and people don't know this. So we've recently had a ring that's gone viral, and he made 160 of them. So I had 160 people that had messaged through, and we were sending out these rings. And each ring, I was looking at the person's name and then guiding my hand along the top of them and picking the right stone, like the coloration for that person, whatever I was guided to. And that's what got sent out to them.
People don't even know.
People have no idea that this is what I do.
They don't know how weird we are.
I spend hours actually tuning in to the kohatu and picking the right stone for the person that's getting sent to. So, which is quite crazy, and
it makes a difference.
It makes a difference, I think, because they're receiving what they should.
Absolutely. Yep.
But that isn't something that we usually share publicly. You know, this is just something that's done, you know, behind the scenes, but it's very important to us. It's an integral part of it is. It's very important that everything has a wairua aspect to it, so that when it goes from us, we're sending it with the most beautiful energy attached to it.
Yeah.
Also, in relation to your question of where do you think Māori are going, or what do you think Māori need to do? I think in regard to art, Māori need to just open their minds in general to the idea of evolution and evolving the art form.
Yes.
For example, there's a pattern. This is just one example, but pre-colonization Māori art, and just Māori in general, the reo, the tikanga, everything was evolving and growing. So there was what French explorers first came.
Sydney Parkinson was the first person to document the pattern Kiri.
Moko Kiri.
Moko Kiri, sorry. Sorry, tired brain. Moko Kiri, and you know, like that was documented back in what was it? I think it was 17
something.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't think of exact dates. So it was documented on the face. You know, you look at 100 years later, they come back through again, and the next documentation is spirals and curved patterns. So it just shows that the movement, and you know, like from the most archaic documented pattern that we have, you know, like in history books that we can look at, you know, and then 100 years later or 50 years later, they come through and everything's curves and spirals. So, you know, like there's always such a rapid movement within the Māori arts world anyway. And this was way before there was an arts world. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Where people were just doing what they were doing on the daily. They were tuning into what they felt. They were doing what they were doing. But
the moment, you know, colonization sort of hit, and we started losing a lot of our culture and tikanga and identity, essentially, the art world froze. Everything kind of froze, and it was like, even now we refer back to those days, the 18 whatevers. Those are kind of our view of what Māori art should be. This is what's traditional, this is what's tika, this is what it is to be Māori is frozen in that time. And I truly believe what it is to be Māori is to be continuing to evolve as Māori and try and look at who we are as Māori in the 21st century. We live in a completely different world. We don't live in Te Ao Kohatu anymore in the Stone Age. We have so much more technology. Tikanga could be applied in such a broader term. I think you could have tikanga around wearing your seatbelt. You know what I mean? We didn't have cars back in the day, and tikanga essentially 200, 300 years ago was just, you know, health and safety, OSH health and safety. And if we can kind of adapt with the world and become modern.
Yeah. So he's saying
Māori.
adaptation is where he thinks, you know, like we need to go. Yeah.
Because
Totally
there's a lot
agree.
of I did a lot of archery. This is another example, and we have archers. When I was shooting, we had archers that used, you know, modern compound bows with sights, and they were, you know, trying to slam the bullseyes and all that. And then you've always got those traditionalists that have carved their own bow, and
the purists.
Yeah. And they've braided their thing out of blinging deer guts or whatever, and they've, you know, they've got their bow and they're launching blinging bamboo sticks, and they're really dead set on doing it all, you know, without any sort of electricity and all that sort of stuff. And that's great. It's a beautiful thing to do, and I think that we always need people like that. But at the same time, there's a lot of people like that, I find, with Māori, and there's kind of like a stigma on any Māori that starts to take those first steps into something new, stepping away from something.
I agree with that.
Something
pushing boundaries, pushing boundaries of traditionalism.
We were talking to another artist, and he got a lot of flack for using a CNC machine. People were like, "Oh, bro, that's not traditional. That's not tika. That's not authentic." And I was like, "Oh." And all these carvers that are saying that, they're using steel chisels, you know, which wasn't around 200, 300 years ago. So they've moved with the times a bit, but then, you know, there's always, you know, when you're on the precipice, you're bound to get nailed by all the people that really let go of that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's a big shift, I think, that needs to start happening, or just opening our minds in general to the idea that, geez, we don't need to be, we can let stuff go, you know.
Evolve it. Hey,
evolve it. Yeah. Because our people know we're doing the same thing, you know. Patterns changing, and they were letting go of old tikanga and coming up with new tikanga, and as things evolved, and we went from taiaha to muskets almost instantly. Like, we were pretty, you know, adaptable people. But yeah, we've kind of become stagnant, I feel, in many ways.
I do too.
And Regs isn't like that. He's just rolling. He's doing his own thing. He's on his own kaupapa.
I would have traded my cloak for a musket straight away.
I love it. And, you know, I think, you know, we see now the change in you both, but also how much everything is growing for you all, you know, growing, and how the kids themselves are developing and growing in a really healthy, beautiful ways. And, you know, you as a family unit, you've really worked hard at keeping on that, you know, alignment. And keeping in alignment with what you needed to do in the day, on a daily, like you say, you know. So it's a beautiful thing, and I just love that I'm seeing your business taking off, and, you know, your work getting out there, your mahi. It's just so beautiful. So yeah. Thank you so much for all you do, because it's brightening people. And, you know, each piece that you might wear, or you're wearing on skin or around, you know, as an adornment, it's enhancing who we are as peeps, you know. So each person wears something that's enhancing them even more into who they truly are, wearing something soulful, and it's beautiful. It's very beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the goal. That's why we do it.
Yeah, it's always been for the people. That's always why we've worked. So we're in service to our people. That's how we see our mahi, being in service to our people. So and hopefully that's how they see us too. And like, I think too, in regard to the business, the whakawhanaungatanga that I've done on Instagram, so we run our entire business off Instagram, it's just huge. So, you know, like, kinship that I've created with the different people that message through. So if Reghan's carving a heitiki, I know who that's for. I know why they're receiving it. You know, then they contact us when they're having a birth in their family to do a cutting stone to cut the cord of that baby being born, you know. And so you develop all these really strong relationships with people, and you absolutely know who everyone is. So yes, you are a business, but it's more than that. And we've always felt like we're in service.
It's almost becoming a little subculture.
It is, but you know, we're all in service to our
Sure.
people. That's the way we see what we do. You know, it's not about making trillions of dollars. It's about how can we be in service to those that mostly need it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you do it beautifully. You both do it beautifully. It's lovely. So yeah, I'm just truly blessed to have you in my life. I know that much. And
we feel the same about you, just so you know.
Yeah. Very lucky.
Thank you. Yeah, no, beautiful, beautiful fam. And any final words, anything you'd like to plug out there? What have you got coming up? I know you've been doing some pop-ups, and they've been doing really well.
We've done a couple of pop-ups, which is now norm, and we probably won't do that again for a while, but we are doing a new product release next year, which is all hush-hush.
That'll be around when this comes out.
So this will be around March next year, and hopefully, well, actually, I already know it's going to go off. It's going to be crazy. There's never been anything like it done in Aotearoa in the Māori art scene. So, hopefully it'll be really cool and we'll do really well.
It will be very cool. It'll do very well.
All this, guys, fantastic ideas.
Yeah. Always.
It's jewelry too. Exactly. Yeah, we're trying to evolve what we've already got going here. So it is jewelry, and it is probably might not be just rings, but it is kind of focused around rings in general.
Yep, that's enough. Don't share anything else.
Kidding.
Don't share anything else.
Yeah, no, it is amazing idea, and thank you for sharing with me. But anyway, we wait to see, and everybody will be bated breath waiting for it to arrive. So but keep doing. Obviously you will, because you love it, so there's no need saying all that. But just thank you so much for all you do, and how much love and support you offer to others as well. And may it all come back to you in multiple friggin' ways, like actual.
Yeah, thank you.
It definitely does.
Yay! So much love to you and the fam, and have a great break, because you guys have been working very hard. So
awesome. Thank you, Mandy.
Alrighty, and we'll put all your links up for your whatever you want advertised out there. So we'll put that up with the recording when it goes out.
Cool. Awesome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Ngā mihi.
Welcome.
Ngā mihi.
Bye-bye.